she gives me her pictures of them. And I don't have any kids, so I sent her a picture of me sleeping in on Saturday. Kids are expensive for us aunts and uncles, aren't they, huh? Yeah, man, we gotta buy them gifts. I found a way to get revenge. I now only buy accessories to stuff they don't have. That's right, every one of my gifts cost my sister $300. I can't wait until Christmas. My niece is gonna love her new saddle. I got a cat now. I've had my cat for 17 years. Yeah, I love my cat, but that's a long time, man. How long do they live? Of course, the other day I caught her staring at me, thinking the same thing. Oh, man. People treat their pets like people, don't they? I saw a TV show. A woman had a dog with obsessive-compulsive disorder. I'm not making this up, folks. The dog had a stick, and he'd run around the backyard, and he'd bury it, unbury it, bury it, unbury it, all day long with a stick. And she finally put the dog on Prozac. Yeah, $75 a month. I'd throw away the stick. Just a thought.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to It Matters Radio. This is Monica Brinkman, and I'm going to be your host for this evening. And Ken, I tell you what, he has brought someone that we just adore at It Matters Radio. We had her on before at Blog Talk, but now we get to have Jan here with us in person. So, Ken, could you please introduce us?
Yeah. You even get to see her smile.
I know.
love her smile. Jan McInnis. Oh, she's such a great comedian. And, two things about Jan that I think make her very unique. One is that she does clean humor. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's not a potty mouth.
No. Yeah,
not on stage.
And it's funny.
And the second is that she does humor, she does comedy that helps people, organizations, companies. So she goes and she's a keynote speaker for them, which helps them to start events off. And I don't understand why I'm starting this, because we have a professional starter of things. So Jan, tell us something about what we're doing here today.
Oh, thank you, Ken and Monica. I don't know what we're doing here today. We're having fun.
Yes.
Having fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. And nice introduction. Yes, I do stand-up comedy and also keynote speeches for organizations. So I talk about, sometimes they want something besides just jokes. So I add in jokes plus some tips. And I have a couple of keynotes that I do, kick off conferences nicely and also end conferences nicely. So that's it. That's my entire career, 22 years in a nutshell.
You know what I think so great about what you do, Jan? I've been in the business world a long time, and I know Ken has too. And we have all been to these conferences. And
right.
By the end of them, you're like snoozing.
Oh, but what do you say? The end. I'm usually by the beginning.
Do you know how many times I've followed speaker on healthcare reform? And people they're out, man. Yeah, so I'm brought in a lot of times because they want, people can only retain so much information. I mean, you get some good information, and I think everybody should attend their conference. But at some point you hit overload, and you need either to kick it off well or to leave, or maybe in the middle of it, to get a break, a mental break, and that's what I'm brought into. But I also have good solid tips. For instance, my most popular one is finding the funny in change. That's how to use humor to handle change. And I have good solid tips on how to use humor in change situations. But there's also a lot of humor in it. So people laugh, they relax, and they walk away with some stuff that they go, oh yeah, I can use that. So. It's been nice. It's been a nice hit, and I've done it for everyone from healthcare to education to financial to Federal Reserve banks. I've done this for 5 of the Federal Reserve banks because everybody understands we're all people, humans. We want it regardless of your job.
My goodness, you could get in trouble talking about finding the humor in change in the Federal Reserve.
That's the Mint. The Mint does the coins.
Oh, okay.
The Federal Reserve does the cash. I only know that because I was a tour guide in D.C. for years, and we passed the Mint every day.
That is hilarious. Yeah, and I love the video we just watched. That was great. Yeah.
How did you find a way to make kids funny? For years and years, I worked with kids, and I got to tell, well, of course, I was working with kids with problems, and I very seldom got to laugh.
You know what? They're not my kids. That's why it's funny. They're not my kids. I can make fun of it, and while my siblings are losing their mind, it's funny. Not happening to me. So, the kids, and I do work jokes, and I do day-to-day life, and a lot of stuff if you pay attention, a lot of funny things.
Mm-hmm. Well, just think, Kenneth, it's something that you do that's unique, and you're not just being a comedian, you're helping the people while you're doing this.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I've had people come up and say, thanks, I really needed that. Have no idea how much I needed that. So it's a service.
Humor is wonderfully curative, especially when you're in a stressful situation. It is such a wonderful way to relax and reduce the stress in a situation.
They are even doing studies finding out that humor and health, I mean, there's really a connection there between, it even helps burn calories, one of them found out. So.
Oh my God, I need it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it does. Laughing does burn calories. But you said humor and health, and one of the things that always struck me, of course, as a health professional, was that when you are in a hospital setting and you're working in a hospital, especially if you're in the operating room, the humor that goes on, the joking that goes on, and sometimes people take offense because they overhear it and they don't realize how important it is for the doctors to stay healthy and the nurses and all those people.
Absolutely. And I even talk about in my change keynote, if you sit down to a staff meeting and you just had some big change, layoffs or budget cuts or something, and you're not going to address it, guess what? Everyone's thinking about it. They're not. If you don't address it, that doesn't matter. You've got to at least bring it up and move on. And you can do that with humor. You can change the dynamic. I did my keynote for healthcare. They were HR people, and one guy about 2 weeks later emailed me and said, boy, we were sitting down to a departmental meeting with every department head. It was going to be really bad. Lots of stress. People were angry. It was going to be an awful meeting. He goes, I started off with one of your tips. I did a joke. He goes, everyone relaxed, took a breath, and we had one of the best meetings ever because people just changed. It changed the energy. And that's what people need it for. I think that's one of the best reasons to use humor is change the energy.
Yeah, get rid of all that tension that's in the air.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Everybody's on the same page when they're laughing.
Right, and you make that instant connection with someone too,
Yeah.
Do you think that the politics, the political discourse in this country would be changed in a positive way if our candidates used more humor? And I don't mean depreciating others. I mean humor.
Remember after George Bush Sr. lost, and then he did those Visa commercials. They were hilarious. He had some funny commercials, him sitting in a bar with something for Visa. It really showed the human side. And it did more, I thought it did more for his personality than the people thought, oh, he's not just this robot or whatever, because he lost. He lost, right?
Yeah.
He lost.
He lost.
Only because he didn't know the price of a gallon of milk.
Yeah, well. But it shows the human side. And I think as long as it's done appropriately, and maybe the candidates are afraid, they're so afraid of somebody's going to get mad about some little thing, but use your common sense and you can have some fun with things and let people see that you're a person, and it connects you. It really is a good connection, you know?
Right. And I mean, people get mad no matter what they say anyway. Somebody's going to say
That's right.
something.
Yeah.
So why not make it funny a little bit? You know?
Right, right.
I think that if Hillary Clinton wants to make a joke about her pneumonia when she gets back on the trail, I think that would be a in thing for her
Right.
to
I mean, what's a great joke, you know? Both of us candidates are sick, just that I'm going to get over mine, you know?
That's perfect. Yeah,
Okay, you know?
It's a little bit of
exactly.
your bias there.
I know, but I'm saying it as her, okay?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So yeah, he could. I mean, Trump could say the same. You know, we could do different jokes. So, uh,
Yeah.
I think that it would show a little human side and make a connection with people.
Well, it's what people are all thinking anyway, so why not bring it out?
Right, right. And again, that's what I talk about when you sit down with it at a staff meeting or something. Comedians call it addressing what people see first. If I'm a comedian, I get on stage, I'm really tall or really fat, or I have a noticeable disability, or I look like a famous comedian or something. We address that first, because otherwise people are going to spend the entire time staring at us going, do you know you have a disability? You have to say something about it. And then it clears the air, and okay, that's why they're standing like that or sitting like that or whatever. And I think the same with, in business. You can do that, clear the air. Same with politics, say what's out there, get the big elephant out on the table.
Yep.
Exactly.
Or donkey, whichever.
So, how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in having you, come to one of their events? And
They can't.
speak?
I don't want to do anymore. I'm tired of travel. I'm joking. I'm about to go on the road for 2 weeks in 9 cities. All right, I'm gonna be, and then I get back for a day and a half, and I go back out.
Wow.
They can go to my. It's crazy. The fall is crazy. It's all really good, but it's the moneymaker. You get the summer off, and then you get into the fall as a crazy woman.
So what part of the country are you going to? Or Canada too? Where are you going?
Name it. Yeah, boy, I head off from here to Montana. Montana to Missouri to Chicago to Michigan to, I'm all over the place. But they can go to my website if they want to get a hold of me, theworklady.com. Theworklady.com. And check that out. I would put Jan, I have janmcinnis.com, but nobody can spell my last name, so had to do something.
I know, the work lady sounds, I think that's a good idea.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, so you can just go and book Jan through theworklady.com. However, we want to make sure she
That's right.
I don't even do my own windows, okay?
Yeah, not that kind of work.
But I can see your windows in the back there, Ken. You might need to work on those. I'm joking.
I know that's funny.
I made those mirrors. I'm not interested in the outside world. I'm just interested in looking at myself.
We knew it, Ken.
As you should. You're a good-looking guy.
Thank you. So, what is the attraction to you of getting up in front of a bunch of people and telling them jokes? And I don't mean the money. I mean, we all of us, we hopefully earn money, except, those of us who do It Matters Radio, we don't expect to make any money from it. Maybe some book sales at best, but well,
and as entertainers, you don't make money when you start out, so there better be something else in it for you, because it is not the money either. It is. I enjoy it. You got to do something for a living, and making a connection with people, meeting people. I think you get on stage and you have that one good show when you start out that's just, you connect, everything's working on all cylinders, you're having a great time, and you spend the rest of your life searching to get that back.
Get that moment back.
Yeah, and it's not about being famous. It's obviously not famous. It's about enjoying your life and wanting to meet people and have fun and travel and make a connection, and I think that's really why I do it. I just I have to do something. This is a good way to do it.
Were
Well,
you funny
clearly
as
you've made a connection with us because we keep wanting to have you back. And I would imagine you make a lot of connections with people who really love to follow you, follow your career.
Oh, thank you.
See you again. But that brings up a problem for you, which is, let's say that you do, the same, say, Federal Reserve Bank, that you go back. You can't tell the same jokes each time. Or maybe you can if they're, but.
Well, I have gone back and done the same. Boy, I'm getting the sun in my eye now. I have to fix the sun just went down. About 2 minutes, it'll be gone. I have done the same stuff. I have a couple different keynotes, so I can go back and do a different one. Mm-hmm. And if there's 10 years in between, who remembers?
You can rely on people.
I also write enough that it changes a bit. Mm-hmm. So not as much. I do 3 or 4 jokes a minute. So if I write 10 really good jokes, that's only 2.5 minutes. So it is harder. It sounds like my act doesn't change as much as it does. Mm-hmm. But if you don't see me in 10 years, then you see me again, and it's good.
So how much of your time do you spend writing new jokes?
I wish I could say a couple hours a day. I thought when I left my day job, that was going to be my biggest chunk of time, was going to be sitting around writing jokes. And I think that's what people think entertainers do, is sit around and be creative. Sadly, for me, is more marketing. I spend most of my time marketing. I work hard to find time to write jokes. And again, I'm not famous where I'm chewing up a lot of material on TV where I have to come back and do another HBO. I wish I had that problem. Another HBO hour. I've got one. I've got an hour for HBO if they call, when they call. But if they call, that's a good problem to have if you have to go back and find another hour of material.
Exactly. Jan, I wanted to ask you, as a child, were you funny? Did people?
I was funny, but not in that way. I was probably odd. Probably people laughed at me. I was, this height. I was about 25 pounds. I mean, I was really, 5'10" and gawky and not just weird looking. But I wasn't. I always wanted to do it, but I was never the class clown. Never. I had one friend in high school. They have those superlatives like. Senior year, like best dressed and most athletic, I'm better than you and all that. My friend Judy came up to me and said, I'd known her since kindergarten. She said, well, you sometimes say funny things, so I'm going to put you down as funniest. So I got 2 votes, me and Judy. And after 30 years later at my class reunion, 30 class reunion, she, the only person, when I said I'm a comedian, she's the only one that said, that's perfect. You're exactly what you should be doing. Everybody else looked at me like, really?
At least they didn't all
laugh. Your parents, Yeah, because I wasn't the class clown. I was just quietly funny. And I had friends that say, oh, I'm funnier than you when I first started this. And then they'd say, well, after they'd see me on stage, I'm funnier in small groups. You can write jokes and get up there. I'm funnier with, and that's the challenge we have as comedians. If you're funny at the water cooler, that's good, but you all have the same experience. You're all working at the same company. You have this shared experience. As comedians, we get up there in front of 1,000 people who don't. They might work for the same company, but really they come from all walks of life. They've grown up differently, and you're trying to connect with them on that. And that's harder. And if you can find that common ground, that's what makes you successful.
Well, actually, I think a lot of stand-up comedians whom I've seen, in the clubs and things, actually, they are water cooler humorists. And so because of that, they go to the lowest common denominator experience. And it doesn't elevate.
Right. Well, you know what? I heard what happened to a lot of comedians. I was not doing comedy in the 80s, but that was sort of the boom. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them made so much money in a small region. And you have if you work the East Coast, a small region from New York to D.C., you've got certain jokes. Everyone knows what the bad town is. Everyone knows the references. All of a sudden, the boom went away, and they had to work farther out, and the references didn't work, and the local stuff didn't work, and all of a sudden, your career, is a real stretch for me. I never had this local. I had to appeal to a lot of people in different, in the Midwest to the New York to California, and so I didn't have that luxury. So not that I worked harder, but I had to really stretch to find the material that would that resonates with me and with everybody else.
Yeah, it has to be kind of universal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
when
can
you're
imagine
up
that's
on
hard.
stage, how often do you improvise? How often do you just come up with something?
A lot more than I did when I started out. Because I'm more comfortable. And I really, really feel at this point just about anything I can handle. Anyone. When you've had people, throw up on the table while you're doing your act, you've had people, walk out or yell things, mean things, and you couldn't handle it. You either get good or get out. And so I'm much better and I'm more comfortable, and I enjoy it now. I really enjoy it because I feel like I can. And I found this voice. I tour theaters with another friend of mine, Kent Rader, in the Baby Boomer Comedy Show. And we've been touring theaters for 4 or 5 years now. And we do a Q&A at the end of our show because people like to talk about, to a touring comedian, what's it like? You're not going to get a chance to talk to Leno or Seinfeld, but you can talk to us. And we do a lot of improvising. And even Kent said, you're really good at this. And I've never considered myself good at it because I'm a good joke writer. And I realized I got good at it because I got comfortable. And I got to the point where there's not much you can yell at me that I can get flustered. And even if I do, I don't care. I don't care as much, fine, go ahead and try to top me. Whatever,
I'm sure that you get a certain number of people who say, I'm funnier than you are.
Yeah. I get a lot of people that come up and say, I'm funny, I should be a comedian. That's like if you were a surgeon, you don't get people walking up saying, I love cutting the turkey at Thanksgiving. I could do your job. But so many people think they could do my job, and it's because I've worked so hard to make it look easy. And and people don't want to do my job, and they don't actually do it because they're afraid of bombing, they're afraid of hecklers. If it wasn't for that, they could do it. But also they have to write material and that sort of thing. They don't realize what goes into it. But we work so hard to make it look so easy.
Yeah.
Very creative process of writing the material.
Right, and I'll have clients say, well, write about, we deal with trains, write about trains. Well, that's not how the creative process works. No. When I have a client interview, I say, before a show, I said, just tell me a lot about the organization. Let me pick and choose what is going to resonate with me when I write, because I don't know. That's like saying, write about cats, make some jokes about cats. Well,
oh my gosh.
How do I do that?
Look who just popped up.
Are we gonna get into a cat fight? Because I've got another cat. I've got 2 cats here and a dog, so we could get in a cat fight there, Monica.
Well, it's funny. As soon as you said cat, she just walked across here.
Oh, funny! What's your cat's name?
Punky.
Jokes about cats. Punky is going to get her. Let's be honest.
Cats are always good, as we learned with YouTube. Cats are always good to joke with.
Yes. Yeah, that's so funny.
Do you find, because one of the things that strikes me is when you go to these conferences, I would think a lot of the time the people in the room are sober, or at least trying to act sober.
Oh, yeah.
When you do clubs and things like that, people are trying to get a load on, most of them. And
well, there's a different focus too. I mean, the clubs make a lot of their money with the drinks and the food,
right?
So you've got that activity going on. With the corporate stuff, you might go on at a breakfast, and generally they don't have screwdrivers and Bloody Marys at breakfast. But I prefer a sober audience. Even in the clubs, I preferred sober, just because I want people to get it. I don't want to. I don't want to pick on the drunk guy, and I don't want that person shouting out at me.
That's where you get the most hecklers, I imagine.
Yeah, and I don't have an act that attracts a lot of hecklers. I don't have a mean act. You kind of look like a jerk if you start going after me a little bit. And I've learned how to get through that. I mean, usually I'll go after it's usually a guy heckler, and I'll go after the girl that, he's with, the woman or the wife or the girlfriend, and they get him to shut up. They get the guy to shut up. So, don't go after him. It's a losing battle. Go after her.
Right, right.
I like that.
That's
Folks,
great.
we've been talking to Jan McInnis, the work lady. That's how you find her on the web. And now we're going to show you another of her great routines. And Monica, if you can cue that up, let's watch it, laugh, and then get back to talking a little more with Jan.
Okay, here we go, folks. Enjoy this, and we'll be right back.
I'm used to a lot of long car trips because I grew up in kind of a large family of 4 kids, so we would do all those cheap driving vacations. One summer, Dad decided our family was going to drive cross-country to California. 6 of us, 1 Buick, 2 months. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lizzie Borden's family took a trip like this. Lizzie was just the first one to reach the tool shed when they got home. Thank goodness you all know who Lizzie Borden is, right? Took an axe, gave her... I'm not making this up. I did this joke in front of an 18-year-old TV executive last year. I'm not making this up. He looks at me, he goes, well, Jan, you're a lot older than me. I don't know who that is. It must be an age thing. I'm like, it was a history thing, man. That was 1878. I wasn't born until 1888. I did not get on that show. We do these family vacations. We drive from D.C. to California, windows rolled up. Dad was smoking 4 packs a day. Us kids were in the back seat sucking on the inflatable toys for oxygen. We got out of the car in L.A. Our first thought, clean air. We're the only kids that have to wear the nicotine patch to come down from summer vacation. I have one for nicotine stains. We wouldn't have had a tan. 4,000 miles into the trip, Dad realizes he's smoking us out, so he puts up the pine air freshener. Yeah, great, now our car smells like a forest fire. But you're in a car with people 15 hours a day. You start making up all those little car games, right? And my favorite is, I'm not touching you. All right, everyone take your hand and put it like this. Little participation thing here tonight. Come on. Take it and turn to your neighbor and put it right up in their eye. Just repeat, I'm not touching you. I can put my hand anywhere in this car. Free air, free air, free. We did this together for 8,000 miles. Then we hit a bump, Mom poked Dad's eye out. Hey, thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for coming out here and supporting live comedy.
Jan, thanks so much for sharing that video with us. It reminded me of going on family vacations.
I think we can all relate to that. I think.
Yeah. I don't know which is funnier, the vacations I had as a kid, family vacations, or the ones that I went on as a parent.
The kid, because you have no obligations. Parent, you're more stressed.
Well, wait a minute. You mean our family got it wrong? When I went on vacation as a kid, I had to take care of the luggage. I had to make sure that everything was in and out of the hotel room.
Yeah, that's true.
All kinds of stuff. And
Not me.
when we had our own son, we had this blue suitcase. It was twice his size, and I would insist that he had to carry it. That was what I learned.
Our cross country trip, we did. My parents, we'd all show up. We always had 2 connecting rooms because I had 3 siblings, and so the kids in one room, my parents in the other, and they'd show up with their little black box of gin. They'd go in the room ahead of us. We'd have to go unload the car, and then once we were done with that, we could go to the pool. They give us money for sodas, we go to the pool. And they'd sit there and because they'd driven all day, they'd have their gin and whatever would we unload.
Yeah, they were ready to relax.
You were allowed in the swim.
Yeah. And then we go to swim. Yeah, get sodas and swim. Yeah. Stay out of their face.
Yeah, that was one responsibility. Stay out of their face.
Yeah. Stay out until dinner.
Yeah, and it seems my parents did the same thing. We always had the adjoining room that was separate to them too, huh? I wonder if that's.
It didn't care if there was 6 or 8 kids. They would have put us all in the same room. You stay there. We're over here.
There you go.
Don't knock unless something's really going wrong.
Absolutely. That's true.
So, Jan, you have quite a take on a lot of parts of life. You know, you are able to make fun of kids, of family, of vacations, of work. Are there any areas that you find yourself unable to find humor in?
You know, no, but some areas take a little time. Like work, I didn't write a lot of my work jokes until probably 6 months to a year after I left my day job because I was so angry, you know, and you can't be funny when you're angry.
Right.
So it took a while to let that gel a little bit, and then I was able to write jokes. So most things, you know, I mean, obviously tragedies, no, you don't write jokes about. But most things you want to write on, if it makes you angry, I think most people write about what makes them angry, actually. I think most comedians, if you listen to a comedian talking about something like they're homeless or whatever, they really were. I mean, they probably really were. So people write about what bothers them. And but sometimes it takes us a little gap in there before we can actually put the jokes down.
Yeah, that humor is anger expressed in a different way.
A lot of times, yeah, a lot of times. Not always, but I think it is. Sometimes it's anger and frustration and that sort of thing.
Well, in that case, we should have been seeing a huge growth of humor over recent years.
Yeah.
Well, you know, over what, just...
Because people seem so angry.
Have you been driving in L.A.? Is that...
Yeah, well, that's one
angry
place.
in L.A. driving.
I know. Road rage.
I'm in Phoenix, where people are supposed to be much more reasonable, and I'm a little afraid to drive here now. Especially because they're all carrying weapons.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's getting a little more stressful.
Well, I used to I made up a song that I can't say on the air, but when I was driving in California, because, you know, it is so stressful.
Yeah.
But if you do something like that, make it fun and make it funny, just like you're saying, the anger goes away.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, you know, I think there's so many things that people get angry about now, and it's important for people to tap into their sense of humor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you know, today I was having a washer dryer delivered. It was stackable, it was full size stackable, and they show up and they didn't have the kit to stack it.
Right.
I said, well, what do you think you're doing? And well, you know, idiots. And I had this big discussion, anger. I was very angry because I spent my morning waiting on these guys, and they were going to come back, and they kept saying, well, come back to no charge. I went, well, yes, you will, but finally I said, I'm not going to even take it because I don't want to have a problem with it. And the one guy was out in the gate, in the backyard with me, because my backyard has a place you can drive into, and they were going to deliver. The other guy was in the alley with the truck, and at one point we had a big fight over this, and I said, you know, we called the company, and they said, oh, she can refuse it, we'll bring it back Friday. So finally the guy gets off the phone, he goes, okay, you got to let me out the gate. I said, no, I'm not letting you out until Friday. And we all started laughing. I said, I'll let you out now. but it was very stressful. We were kind of, I hate you. And then I said, all right, you know, let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
You want to take it in and have it now become your responsibility until they set it up properly.
Oh, right. I didn't want to, you know, it was kind of a stupid, why have them do half of it now and half of it Friday.
Right.
You know, so, but anyway, it turned out well when I ended it with some humor.
Exactly.
Because they thought I was a crazy lady at first.
They just didn't know you, Jen.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And, folks, if there's one piece of advice that you could take away from today's show from Jan McInnis, it is use your humor in situations like deliveries and when people
Customer service,
things like that, because disarming the other person then makes change possible.
Right, and it also makes the situation, because a lot of these people are not, they didn't choose to deliver something that didn't have all the components.
Right.
They wasted their time too driving over there because somebody who didn't have their thinking cap on, said, "Oh, just send half of it." And what are they going to do? Put it in my living room until they show up Friday to put it together? I mean, that's kind of crazy. So,
right.
You just have to make it funny and then move on.
That's right.
Now, Jen, you've written some books that our audience might want to take a look at. Why don't you tell us a little about your books?
Yeah, thank you. I have two. My first one, because I've written for everybody from, I've sold material to, Jay Leno for the monologue on the Tonight Show, to guests on the Jerry Springer Show. My parents are proud. Radio, TV, you name it, syndicated cartoon strips. I've sold a lot of material. So, and people are always asking me, how do you do it? How do you come up with the material? So I got tired of telling people, so I put it in a book. It's called Finding the Funny Fast: How to Create Quick Humor to Connect with Clients, Coworkers, and Crowds. And it's really how anyone can put humor into a speech or written document. Add a little bit of humor. What are some of the quick techniques? So that's my first book. It's been a nice seller. It's on Amazon as well as my website. And
may I interject you for a moment? Yeah. I've read that book, and I thought it was excellent.
I know you're much funnier on this interview, Ken.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you picked up a lot of my tips, so good job.
Yeah, he took it to heart, didn't he?
Yeah, but it is really, people always want. I've helped people punch up sales letters, real estate letters, dry things, and they really they want to know how to do the humor. So I have a book and said, here, instead of me writing the stuff, you do it, and I show you some techniques, because it's really not, oh, you have to be a comedian to write. Anyone can do this. I mean, I was a marketing person before being a comedian. I just learned how to be funny. I learned how to write this stuff. So that's my first book. Second book came out about a year and a half ago. People are always asking, again, what's it like to be a comedian? And so I put together a book called Convention Comedian: Stories and Wisdom from 2 Decades of Chicken Dinners and Comedy Clubs. And basically, I talk about some stories that I've gone through. And, I don't have road stories like the Rolling Stones have, getting drunk, doing drugs with, for 10 days in a row or whatever. I don't have those kind of stories. I have but I do have stories about what I've done and some of the events I've done and what's gone right and wrong and what I've learned from those. So I like to give a little wisdom. What happened there? What could I have done better? What can I take from this? What can anyone take from this? Not just comedian, but from life. What are some things you can learn from it? So that's my second book.
Yeah, how to learn from things that maybe just it didn't go the way you planned, or
Right, and
move
many
forward.
things don't. And what could I have done, or what could they have done? And what I've learned is most of it is kind of a combination. I wasn't communicating well, or the client, had a vision that I didn't get. So, what can you do? But it translates to other life, personal and professional, in other professions too, to pay attention to these things.
Yes.
So people can find both these books on Amazon, or they can go to your website.
They can. They can do both. They can do both, either or.
Hey, folks, here's the thing, okay? Make Jan's day. First, you go to a website and you order a copy of each book. Then you go to Amazon and you order a copy of each book. Now you have 4 books, 2 copies of each. You put one copy next to your bed and you read them, okay, because they're worth reading. The other pair of copies, you give to somebody else. And that
Very good.
person that you give them to will always be thankful to you.
That's a great idea.
It is.
And then you write a really nice review on Amazon.
Right, and then you write a nice
Exactly.
review on Amazon too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great when people take the time to do that
Mhm.
because I don't know anything that makes you feel better than maybe the laughter from your comedy when you're there live.
Yeah.
Do you ever interact with the people when you're doing your comedy routine?
Yeah, I do. I have spots where I ask questions
Mhm.
and talk a little bit, and sometimes it talks a lot. Sometimes I'm getting nowhere and I keep going. It just depends.
Right, right. I mean, did you ever have someone that was that you would single out? That's what I was. Because
Do I?
I was just picturing you giving this speech or something and doing your comedy routine, and maybe there was somebody that was not listening, or and you and you singled them out. I was just wondering if you ever did that.
No, you know what? I do sometimes get information about people ahead of time that I'm allowed to joke about. But it's funny, I was doing an event for a corporation a couple of years ago, and on the committee, when I've talked to them, everybody said about this guy, John Smith, or whatever his name, making up a name, but
Right.
John Smith, they said he interrupts all the time. You got to talk about that. And I said, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say anything mean. I'm not going to say anything about him interrupting, So we get to the event and I'm doing my thing and this guy starts putting his hand up and interrupting. Finally, I stopped. I said, are you John Smith that everyone says interrupt stuff? And the place went nuts.
That's what I meant. Yeah, did you ever do
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Of
So
course, it's great
it comes in
you
handy when you know something.
who would be doing that.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling you don't do a lot of mean humor. You're not
No,
one of those
no.
people who comes in and says, I just ate the chicken. God, everybody else, do y'all feel sick? That's
Yeah,
not you.
yeah. No, I don't. I have maybe 3 mean jokes that were club jokes that I haven't done in years. I had to follow a comedian one time who was really getting the audience really riled up and he, getting them into a frenzy kind of. And I'm backstage, I'm headlining, and I'm thinking I gotta do something because I'm gonna start into some kids jokes, and I'm not gonna settle these people down. So I went out on stage, and the meanest guy, the loudest guy in the room, I just went at with my 3 mean jokes, and scared him, shut him up. And I thought, man, thank goodness I didn't need a 4th joke because I don't have it. And then I went into my act. So that I've done that a few times, but really I don't try to be mean to people because I like people.
Yeah, that's great. And
You try and do humor to bring people together.
Yeah, and I don't like to make fun of people, And I've done it inadvertently one time years ago. I did a event where I was rocking. It was going really well. It was mostly women. There was one guy in the back, really cute guy, young guy, and I started poking fun at him, and he was very uncomfortable. And afterwards, everyone said, "Oh, it was really fun to joke at him," and I felt bad because he was uncomfortable being in the limelight, and I don't want to ever make anyone feel uncomfortable,
oh, how nice.
But I also don't want to go after the person that's going to joke around and try to take the limelight because it's my show, it's not theirs. So I don't like it when someone starts shouting stuff and trying to be in the show because it's not your show, it's mine,
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to know how to put them in
It's kind of
the
like
place.
the politician who says, "Hey, I paid for this hall.
Yeah.
You want to run for office? Go
Yeah.
all for yourself." Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
what's your favorite place to play? Do you have a particular club that you really, and out of your whole career, is number one?
Oh gosh, I really can't think of. There's a lot. I mean, really, there's few that I don't like. I'm enjoying the theater shows. Our baby boomer comedy show is doing really well, and I love the theater audiences. I don't do that many comedy clubs, but when I did them, I loved the freedom. I really like the clubs. For me, I don't like working Tuesday through Sunday and all the travel, and The theaters and the corporate stuff allows me to have a lifestyle I enjoy more. So, but the clubs are great. I would never knock the clubs. I thought they were just a fabulous experience. And I have many friends that still run clubs and own clubs. So, but the theaters, I just enjoy it. It's really a nice experience. Baby boomers, so we'll start the show at 6:30 or 7. I love it. I'm not doing any 1 a.m. or midnight shows,
You can go back to your hotel room and
I'm back by 9. I'm back by 9. And I love the corporate stuff. A friend once said, how can you be funny at breakfast? I said, I love it. I'm on the plane by noon going home, or I'm back in a nice hotel room. People are people. I mean, they love it. I don't need the alcohol to get people laughing, so I can get them laughing at 8 in the morning.
I would love to start my day off like that. That would be fantastic.
You'd like to start your day off getting people?
With people, because you go in and to work and good morning, and most of the people are like, "Arr," Come on, you're here, have fun. What could you tell us a little bit about your baby boomer show?
Yeah, certainly. Myself and my partner in the show, Kent Rader. He's a comedian based in Kansas City, and I'm in Los Angeles. We both tour separately, doing shows for associations, corporations, conventions. And then we come together a couple times a month with the Baby Boomer Show. And it's basically, we bill it as clean comedy for people born before seatbelts, safety helmets, and Facebook. And you can go to our website, babyboomercomedyshow.com, for our schedule. We got, if you're in Michigan, we have Michigan dates coming up. We've got Springfield, Oregon. We've got something outside Chicago. Lots of stuff coming up. Basically, both of us come out together for a couple of minutes. We do a few minutes on baby boomers and that sort of thing. Then one of us stays up, does their 45 minutes, introduces the other person who does 45, and then we end with a Q&A. And so it's a really nice night. And we're bringing out a group of people that maybe want to go to the comedy clubs, but not really. They don't know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
They're coming out to an earlier show. And it's fun. We're having a great time with that. So,
I would love to see it.
What kind of venues do you do that in?
We have been in some gorgeous theaters that have been renovated. We've been really nice theaters. I mean, we're really doing big theater shows. I can't even list them all. Go to the site, you'll see the schedule, and we've left up some of the ones that we've been to. Great towns, and what's really nice is a lot of the people in the town really spend a lot of their money and time raising money and resurrecting these theaters. And we're a great fundraiser for them because we're easy. We don't need sets. We don't need rehearsals. And they can bring us in quickly. And people, again, people like comedy. They're just afraid to go to clubs, but they don't know the comedians. And they can come out and have a great time, and it's an easy fundraiser.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful what you're doing then.
Yeah, we do about 5
it sounds
years.
like a good kind of show, doesn't it, Monica?
Oh, I want to see it so badly.
Well,
We'll have to come out near you. Tell me a theater. We'll get in it.
Okay.
well, I'm in Phoenix, so we got lots of theaters here, Jan.
I know. You got to give me some ideas. I'll bring the show to your theater. I will.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I can come up with some ideas of people who might.
Because we've been doing the whole marketing ourselves right at the moment. We have connected with one producer who's been helping us get in theaters, but we've been making most of the phone calls. We have a database of several thousand theaters we've been calling, and they're really open to the idea. And once they get it, that this is an easy show, it's an easy moneymaker, and it's fun and clean, and the audience is walking away having a great time. We did a show in Batesville, Indiana. They'd never had comedy. We oversold a 500-seat theater and just rocked the room.
Wow.
And the people just loved it. And we're doing that with a lot of theaters. And they're afraid, some of them are, we only do musicals, but we are much less work.
Much less work. And let's face it, how many times do you really want to watch Annie?
Right. That's what I think. That's what I think. And we can even go on in front of the curtain if they're building a set for another show. So it's been a real nice win-win.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say if there's anybody out there who would love them to come to your town,
Yeah.
please have
Me.
Well, yeah.
Send us an email. Tell us about a theater in your town because we'll check in with them. If you got some in, that's even better. And it really is a guaranteed fun night.
So how can they get that email to you?
They can send an email to me, Jan at theworklady.com. They can go to my website, theworklady.com, or babyboomercomedyshow.com.
Great.
And there's a contact there.
There you go.
Well, I know I'm going to contact my local theater.
Thank you, yeah.
There's a local theater in Rolla, Missouri?
Yes, it's a Leach
Wow.
Theater. And we have all kinds of
How
wonderful...
come you're not performing there?
I did.
Oh.
Before I
Did
got
you
so
know
busy.
that, Jan, that Monica was a theater person?
Oh.
Yes.
One of those people. Cool.
Yeah, one of them. Those crazy people. I was never a prima donna, though, so...
Yeah.
Unlike Punky.
Yeah, unlike Punky. Oh, gosh. So what are your kitties' names?
Okay, we have Fluffy and Radar.
Ah.
And then we have a dog, Delilah.
Delilah.
I just adopted her from the shelter about a year ago.
Oh, good. That's
Are you
she
going
likes
to
the
get
cat.
her a friend named Samson?
No, just Delilah. But, yeah, I was a cat person. I was a diehard cat person and just kind of fell into getting a dog.
I did the same thing, oh gosh, maybe a year and a
I
half
assume
ago.
they don't travel with
Oh, no, the dogs and cats don't. I've got lots of a network of people to take care of them. What's your cat's name, Monica?
I've got 5.
Oh my gosh, you're the crazy cat lady.
I am. 2 dogs and 5 cats. So.
Oh wow, you're a foster failure.
Yeah, must be. Because we've got Punky, Mickey, Joey, Snagglepuss, and Stubby.
Okay.
And,
took a while to come up with those names.
Yeah, I know. Actually, no, I hope my brothers aren't listening to this, but I named 2 of them after my brothers. So.
What better honor to give them?
That's what I figured.
Oh, funny.
No, for me, that's an honor, naming my cat after someone.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't think so. I don't think.
You're going to name the next one after me, right?
Yeah, a kid? I don't know. I'll name him Weene.
Weene.
There you go. Weene, the cat.
KW.
KW, I like that better.
It's going to be a Maine Coon cat.
Yeah, those are cool cats, I know. Jan, I'm so happy that you came on the show today, and I know you got to get going, so I don't want to hold you up, but
the jokes never sleep.
Right, we're going to share some more jokes as soon as we're done chatting, but I'm hoping that everybody who's watched the show will also share it with everyone because they're going to love the comedy, and I don't know how to stress to you how difficult it is to do comedy that's funny and clean, because a lot of the comedians just stoop to, and I'm not saying anything against them, there's all types of comedy, but they do have to use vulgarity and things like that to be funny. It's more difficult to be clean, and
Right.
I mean, Red Skeleton did it his whole life, and you know.
And you can be
K.
suggestive and make the connection in your head, and people get it. You can have a joke about relationships that's even has a sexual innuendo, but you don't have to be graphic.
Exactly.
Everyone gets it. We're all adults. Get it. You got it. You know, we don't need to be graphic and spell things out. So
Right. That's how I feel too. So, I mean, it's okay once in a while, but it's just too many people got on that bandwagon, I think, and it's hard to find people like yourself around. So I'm so glad that you're doing this, and I'm so glad we met you.
Yeah. And folks, just to remind you, the lady's name is Jan McInnis, and she is known as the Work Lady, which is, if you look that up on the internet, you can find her website and you can communicate with her about getting her booked into your town, and you can buy her books and learn a lot about her. And please do because
Absolutely.
Jan is one of those people who is really worth getting to know. Somebody who brings something bright into our lives.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. We need
Thank
more
you.
like it, Jan.
No, we don't. I want all the work.
Of course, you know something, Jen. You might have created some with your
Yeah,
books and such that you don't even know.
yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to chat with you guys.
Okay, you keep in touch, Jen, okay?
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
All
Night.
right, take care. Bye.
You know, Ken, um, I'm just so pleased that we had Jan on. It's been a long time. It's been years, actually. And she's the
Mhm.
same delightful person that she always has been.
Yes. Yeah, a
And
lovely lady. And her books are really worth reading.
yeah, I hope a lot of people do that. And I hope companies actually will listen to this and
Mhm.
understand that they can take those, the conventions they have and they can take the conferences they have and make them exciting because when they're laughing and they're getting excited about, a guest that you have or a speaker that you have and you're opening it and you're ending it with that person, they're going to retain so much more. They're going to be awake and listening to the points
Yeah,
you're trying to get across to them.
humor works. Humor works. And the other thing is, I think probably those shows she does, those baby boomer shows, are probably great. So, folks, if you know a
Oh,
theater that might want, especially, I think Jan is the kind of person that if you're trying to get an organization to work and raise funds, and
hmm
you can get a theater in your community to work with you, and you put Jan together with the theater, together with your organization, I think you got a winner.
oh yeah, I do too. Because there's a lot of baby boomers out there, and there's even people that I think that'll enjoy it that aren't baby boomers.
Hmm.
You know, and it's a wonderful way to raise funds, and everybody has a good time. So before we leave, we are going to play one more
Hmm.
video from Jan, but I want to remind everybody that later on tonight, excuse, not later on tonight. I meant to say Monday through Saturday, we have music shows, and it's called our Music Cafe. And
Hmm.
I hope everybody will listen to those because you're helping indie artists. This is
Yes.
everybody loves music, right? Well, support these people and watch the shows and get other people to watch them and follow them. And I just think you're going to love them.
And of course, these are music artists from all over the world, folks.
Mhm,
Not just the people that you're used to hearing on your regular radio shows.
right.
And then on Sunday, of course, earlier in the day,
Yeah,
we have our music interview show
right. We have one
where,
today.
yeah, like the one we had today. And you really want to catch those. And folks, if you can't catch a show, you can always listen to the podcast on It Matters Radio on iTunes,
YouTube.
on YouTube. I'm sorry. On YouTube. And those are wonderful podcasts. So please
Mhm.
share that link and tell people about the show, but also tell people about the podcast because the podcast is a way that no matter what time we are, anywhere in the world, you can listen to us and you
Absolutely.
can hear our spoken word guests, our music guests, and our wonderful selection of indie music.
Yeah, I'm the people that you're going to meet are fantastic on our spoken word guest shows like tonight
Well,
and our musical guest shows. So you get a little bit of an intimate look. And also, if you'd like to know what people are doing, what we're doing, please go to www.itmattersradio.com and join our monthly newsletter.
mhm, which Punky personally writes in
Yes.
her litter box.
Yeah, in fact, it's called From the Litter Box. So,
Mhm.
And like Punky on Facebook also, along with It Matters Radio. But Punky has a page called Punky the Cat, and she'd love to hear from you also. So with that, Ken, I think we're gonna call it a night and listen to this last video. And until then, folks, we'll see you Monday through Sunday. We're always here because why, Ken?
Because it matters. And if it matters to you, it matters to us.
That's right. Okay. Bye, Ken.
Bye, Monica.
Fun to learn about the different jobs. I tell you, I've been in front of all sorts of different groups. It's really fun, and I get to go to different areas and meet different people in different parts of the country. I've worked in every single state except 3. So, and this is great. I like Carlsbad because it's only a couple hours from my house. I got a chance to get down here early, actually. I did a little shopping. Yeah, you got a nice town here. I walked into a store, I got attacked by your makeup lady. She asked what kind of makeup remover I used. I said, the pillow. You say stuff like that, they just scatter. Of course, they'll give you a free makeover. They can't do product testing on animals anymore. They got weird clothes out there. Y'all realize the 70s styles are back, huh? That scares me. You realize when someone is released from prison, they're getting back the same outfit they went in with. I can't tell where my date's been for 30 years. I know I did that joke in Texas last month. They're like, we don't release our prisoners. They got stupid stuff. They should make stuff we really need. I found out 3M, the company that makes Post-it notes, also makes breast implants. They'd have a really good product if they combined the two, wouldn't they, huh? Somebody all a little ahead of me on this joke. Guys wouldn't have any trouble remembering the chores on your to-do list that are written on one of these. Stick one on the fridge with a note. Get milk. Oh, and I always know where to find you. And we get too much customer service in the stores, don't we? Too much customer. Every employee at my grocery store asks me how I'm doing. If they can help me. Every employee, right? And if I need to know where something is, they don't point, they take me there. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. I'm 51 years old. I've never been married. I'm thinking the only person who's ever going to offer to walk me down the aisle is the produce manager at Vaughn's. I don't know. I don't shop anyway for entertainment. I go out to the movies, man. A friend of mine just saw Denzel Washington's new movie. She said he had to gain 40 pounds on purpose for the role. 40 pounds. She goes, I don't know if I would gain weight on purpose even for $1 million. Would you? I'm like, well, I'm doing it for free now. The older I get, the more weight I gain, man. My goal now, I just want to get back to the shape I was in when I thought I was out of shape. I tried everything to lose weight. I tried yoga. I can't do that because I got a birth defect. I was born with a spine. You tried yoga, you know what I'm talking about, right? I actually went on the Jenny Craig diet program by accident. I was staying with a friend of mine who was on it. That's like all the food she had, those little packets. Yeah, I made myself a snack, wiped out 5 weeks worth of her meals. They got all those diet foods, diet sodas, all the stuff's expensive. I'm just waiting for someone to bottle up some water from Mexico. Here, drink this, it'll make you lose weight. Call it run fast. I don't know. I got health insurance, I can get sick. I got life insurance, I can't die. My family thinks that's rude. They're like, who's going to pay for your funeral? I'm like, I don't really care. I'm a comedian, just charge a cover and a 2-drink minimum. I try to stay in shape. I was hiking. I hiked the Grand Canyon last year. That was fun. 10 miles down, 10 miles back. It was kind of embarrassing. The park rangers came across my footprints, closed the park, spent the weekend tracking me. I do all these shows at nice resorts. They always have spas. Spas are coming up. They're making up stuff to make us feel like we're going to lose weight and get in shape, aren't they? They're making up food items, aren't they? There's no research that a lemon sugar body polish is going to make you healthy, is it? We'll do it, won't we? We'll tell we'll tell all our friends, I just got the paraffin wrap. Yeah, for an extra $1, they stuck a wick in me as a human candle. One spa actually had a milk bath, a seaweed wrap, a raspberry relaxer, vanilla bean dip conditioner.
like, I don't have time for all this stuff, man. I just went to Denny's and rolled around the buffet. I tried the milk bath, found I was lactose intolerant. One spa actually had a couples fertility massage. I know, I'm like, don't go to that by mistake. Fertility, we wanted exfoliation. Some of these take a second, all right. And they got plastic surgery now. We're trying to all look. The latest plastic surgery, I'm not making this up. Have you heard this one? I'm not making this up. Rear end implants. You have them, sir? Because if you do, you're coming up here, all right? If you're thinking of getting them, they're $5,000. Yeah, a box of Twinkies is $3. It might take a while, but it'll taste better.